Welcome to part 2 of this series, Common Mistakes in Selenium. In first part, we discussed some of the common mistakes that test automation engineers do when they are developing Selenium or any other test automation frameworks. We'll continue some more mistakes that should be avoided in this part 2 of the series. Not using frameworks like TestNG. We all know that there are a lot of ready-made frameworks which provides a lot of features to a test automation developer which can be leveraged and facilitated directly without writing much code. The integration of all these tools which are well versed with all important features is also very easy. Along with that, a lot of support is also available. For example, a framework like TestNG. Framework like TestNG should be used to facilitate use of ready-made features like reporting, parallel execution, etc. These features are very much required in any kind of test automation framework, and they are also very easy to integrate. If we do not use these kinds of frameworks for reporting or parallel execution or any other feature, and we try to write our own code, that can be very lengthy and time consuming. Enough research time should be spent before selecting the tool and the framework to be used for test automation framework, and this mistake of not using the framework should be avoided. Another miss in test automation frameworks is ignoring visual testing. So visual testing is testing aspects like background images of the website, background color, font name, font sizes, etc. etc. All these parameters are also are very important from user experience perspective. A theme, a background image should remain consistent if there are no changes made, and should not be changed due to external configurations or other parameters. So visual testing should be incorporated in any good test automation framework, and this mistake of not implementing visual testing should be avoided to improve and enhance the quality of the product and test automation framework to the pertinent levels. Another mistake is using hard-coded weights. Let us take an example of Java. Thread.sleep is a hard-coded wait which can be specified in the millisecond quantums in the code. Whenever thread.sleep method is called, the flow waits or the JVM thread waits at a particular instance for number of milliseconds that are called for. This type of practice should be avoided, especially in Selenium, because Selenium provides multiple ways to synchronize web pages and web elements. These ways are fluent wait, explicit wait, and implicit wait. These waits should be used in order which is mentioned here. Highest priority should be given to fluent wait because of the extra features apart from synchronization that it provides, like ignoring exceptions and setting polling interval. Explicit wait is also a good kind of wait which can be used. However, if these two strategies do not work, one should go for implicit wait. In any case, hard-coded waits should be avoided and minimized. So mistake of using hard-coded waits should be avoided and minimized for a robust and stable automation framework. Next mistake that we will discuss is not using properties files for maintaining environment properties. We know that test automation frameworks nowadays are built to be executed on multiple environments. We cannot tie our test scripts or test automation framework to a single environment. Also, the practice of hard coding environment parameters like URLs, ports, username, password, etc. should be avoided. All these configuration parameters which are related to environment should be parameterized and put into an external properties file which can be easily updated with Notepad. Our test automation framework at runtime should pick up the environment.properties and should go to the appropriate environment and run the test accordingly on that environment. This is an important step considering reusability of the test automation framework. So mistake of not using properties file for maintaining environment configuration parameters or properties should be avoided. Next most common mistake that generally test automation engineers do is hard coding data in scripts. Test scripts contain code and code should never be mixed with test data. Test data and test code should be considered as two separate entities and should be maintained separately, mutually exclusive of each other. They should be kept completely separate. To do this, data-driven construct of any test automation framework should be implemented where data is always part of external files like a CSV, text file, properties file, or an Excel spreadsheet. Apart from this, there can be other advanced data structures also which can be used to keep data like databases or JSON files or XML files. Ultimately, the mistake to avoid is to keep data and code together in a single test script. So this is it for second part of this series. Thank you for joining.